Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I am Jeff, and you know what would make me happy? Another couple balls and an extra set of fingers. And joining me on the other end of the internet is my cuz-host.
I'm Leslie, and I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
And I don't care for the way your fucking company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that wasn't fucking there. And then I really didn't appreciate having to walk down a fucking highway and across a fucking runway to have you smile in my fucking face. I want a fucking car. A fucking Datsun, a fucking Hyundai, a fucking Buick, 4 fucking wheels in the seat. I
Do you
want
have your contract?
a car right fucking now. I threw it away.
Then you're fucked.
That is such a great scene. It's it's maybe one of the best monologues in the history of filmdom. like it comes from such a place of justifiable rage and expresses like this feeling that everyone has felt when traveling and at the wrong person, obviously, but holy shit is that
Hmm.
funny.
Yeah, where I think that was the first moment that I really felt like, oh God, this is all too much. I feel for this man. I I haven't been through this exact scenario, obviously, but
Mhm.
it it hit some chords, and
Yeah.
yeah, this is why we have to take a deep breath and really try not to take it out on the wrong person.
Yep, but it's tough. So this week, Cheesemeisters, we are watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the 1987 funniest John Hughes movie masterpiece,
Maybe.
starring basically just Steve Martin and John Candy. Like it's a two-hander, like the whole thing. It's just these two guys, and they interact with people here and there, but it's just the two of them. And but our spelling connection is Edie McClurg, who played oh my, you're fucked. Um, the lady at the rental car agency. She did an episode of Melrose Place, and yeah, that means we can watch Ferris Bueller.
Oh boy. Because she's also, yeah, she is in that.
So, uh, you had not seen this movie before.
That's correct. I had not.
Had What was your awareness of it? Because I can't imagine there was zero awareness of it.
I knew it was a movie. I had seen the title. I knew it was on around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yes, and I knew Steve Martin and John Candy were in it. For some reason, I thought Eddie Murphy was in it, but I think that's because I connected this one with Trading Places in my brain.
Okay. I could see that. Yeah. Those SNL guys bouncing off each other happened a lot. Still does,
Exactly.
mercifully. Um, yeah, I'm so glad Eddie Murphy's not in this movie. Like,
Oh,
no, it's just because, like, the energy of this movie is perfect. These
sure.
two guys together are perfect. I don't need anything else. Like, as great as Eddie Murphy is, I think throwing him in the mix ruins what this is.
That's fair.
Throwing anybody else in the mix would ruin what this is. Um, but Steve Martin does do a movie eventually with Eddie Murphy, and it's great.
Oh.
So at some point, we're gonna have to watch Bowfinger, um, which is about Steve Martin is a director who's trying to get a movie made, this science fiction epic that he's written, and he can't get any funding. So they're shooting and they want Eddie Murphy to be the star of the movie, but he won't do it. So they're tricking him into saying the lines in public while recording him to make their movie, and having other people run up to him and act like they're like do their parts, and he's just like reacting in real time. And Eddie Murphy also plays his own brother, his own twin brother. And it's gold. I mean, it's funny from start to finish.
It sounds like gold.
It's wonderful. Yeah, it's very funny. Well, on the plus side, people in 90210 like to act in things sometimes. So I'm sure we'll have cause to watch Bowfinger at some point. But this ain't that. So here's what I was worried about for you watching this movie. Because I never know. I'm probably making a lot of noise in the microphone with my water.
Just a little.
Yeah, because I was going to take a drink, but then I just was shaking it back and forth. So I know, like, you were just home for like a month and a half, and goodbyes are hard for you, and you just left, and it's coming up on Thanksgiving, and I'm like, oh shit, is this going to feel bad? Like, is watching this movie, which I think is fucking hilarious, start to finish, is this movie going to make Leslie sad? And so A, did it, but I don't think it did. B, what did it do? Did it make you sad? Did I inadvertently depress you with a funny movie?
No, it definitely got me emotional in the end, but I think it's supposed to a little bit. Although
yes, it is.
the way the wife was acting, I was like, he didn't come back for more. Like he's.
But you know what? Like, I don't think he's talked to her in 3 days. She has no idea where he is, which is crazy.
It's so fair. It felt so heavy, but no, I think I was just thinking, if it doesn't make me sad, it makes me stressed, because this definitely stressed me out. It was funny, I enjoyed it, but I also had moments of, this is my worst nightmare.
It's
one of 10. This is one of 10 worst nightmares for me.
It's on the list of 10 worst nightmares. Yeah, I think this movie might be perfect. Because it sets you up in the point of view of Neil, a guy predisposed to be tense. And you put him in a very tense situation. And from the start, from the first seconds of the movie, you are building his level of tension.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's sitting and the guy's just staring at the artwork for 3 hours, and then he like gets down to the street. And guys, if you haven't seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it's about Steve Martin trying to get to Chicago for Thanksgiving. And John Candy also trying to get to Chicago for Thanksgiving with him. But he ends up like we're not even 2 minutes in, and he's already like, fuck,
I have to go.
Yeah. And then he gets out on the street and he trips over a trunk while trying to race Kevin Bacon down the street, by the way.
Like,
yeah. By the way, if you're ever playing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, this movie is a really good one.
Oh, okay.
Because you can connect out a lot of places. It's not quite as good as A Few Good Men, which has like everybody in it with Kevin Bacon. But this one's a good one because it connects him to the Muppet movie via Steve Martin, which connects him to everyone in Hollywood from like 1940 to 1960.
Wow.
Yeah, linchpin shit here, guys. Learn your Kevin Bacons. Sorry, I was thirsty after ranting about Kevin Bacon.
Who would have?
Yeah. So he misses the first cab, and he trips over this huge fucking trunk and almost gets run over. And then he pays $75 for a cab that John Candy takes. And we're 3 minutes in, and he's already so put upon, and you feel all of it for him, right? Like, you're so tense. You're like, and why I think it's perfect is, like, he makes it, gets on the plane, and then is stuck next to the worst person you could imagine. Just this trip can't get worse, is what you say at every scene break.
But it
And then
does.
it gets worse. Yes, it gets worse. Every time it gets worse. And then every time he needs to release that valve of rage, he just loses it so many times, justifiably, and we're on his side. We're like, this is crazy. But
Yeah.
every time he loses it, he looks like an asshole.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, because he's taking it out on Dell, who is this is simultaneously the most irritating person on the face of the earth. Here's a tip: when you tell a story, have a point. Makes it so much more enjoyable for the listener. He's also the most sympathetic character you've ever seen. He's so sweet.
He is.
And when Neil rips him a new asshole for being genuinely the worst possible travel companion imaginable, Dell is crushed.
Yeah.
And you're crushed with him. And you spend the movie in this push and pull where you're getting more irritated. And then just like the guys, when it just gets preposterous, you can't stop laughing.
Yeah.
You know? Like when the car catches fire. And the two of them are standing on the side of the road, like it goes up behind them. And it's the funniest fire I've ever seen.
When they're driving it, I went, there's no way. There's no way.
Look, it may not look like much, but it'll get you where you're going. Radio still works. Clear as a bell. It's just like the whole movie is an emotional ride.
Yes, it is.
You know? So you're supposed to feel stressed. But I'm does it also at points feel like a release? Like, do you get that, or were you just stressed the whole time?
No, I definitely had moments of release. Again, I'm getting better about watching these things that are going to stress me because I'm like, it's a movie. It's supposed to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, enjoy the ridiculousness of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, I don't know. There's just something perfect about these two guys in these two roles.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you couldn't be more wound tight than Neil.
I mean, it's the Odd Couple traveling.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. In like a series of confined spaces. Yeah. It takes that energy and it tightens it on itself. But while it's doing it, it's just being funny.
Yeah.
Like all of it's like, and sometimes it's funny, gross. Like, I can't believe he's taking his socks off on this plane.
Oh, yeah. And like falling asleep with his snacks around him.
Yes.
Oh my God. The moment in the bathroom when like there are just wet towels everywhere. I was like, this is fucking disgusting.
Would you like to know the part of the movie that our grandma thought was really, really funny?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Michael told me this story. Watched this movie with grandma probably 20 years ago. Back when she was in her 70s.
Her prime.
It's the scene where he is washing his face in the morning, and then you see the socks that are in there. But the thing that put her over the edge was him drying his face with John Candy's gigantic underpants.
Oh my God.
Michael said she couldn't stop laughing. Like, she was just in stitches at him drying his face on his underpants.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something in this movie for everybody.
There really is.
Even 97-year-old grandmas.
Oh, I mean, I told you the moment Walter and I lost it was that line about the baby falling out of her sideways. We just Again, it was so insane and so unexpected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about, because like when you said that got you, I'm like, oh, she's in for the ride now.
Yeah.
Like, because like I watched this with Liam last night, and he'd seen it before, but he didn't really remember it. And I was like, the scene at the rental counter is my favorite scene. It's so funny. And then there's like 10 things after it that I think are funnier.
Oh, okay.
Like, it just keeps getting better. Like, the jokes keep getting funnier, and like the whole sequence in the car,
Oh my god.
like
That.
from him adjusting his seat, which is the most irritating, and then of course it's broken, and then
Yes.
he's stuck in it, and then he's dancing and he gets the jacket stuck, and he's driving with his knees, and they end up and then the wrong way on the road, and all while Neil's sleeping.
Yep.
And he wakes up. You're going. How do they know where we're going?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. How do they know where we're going? Is such a great comeback. Know where we're going, idiots. That's the thing that's so great about Dell, I think, too, is that like all of his responses are totally legitimate. You know, they're ridiculous, but they're like, you know, how do they know where we're going? Like, he's not taking any of it in.
They come from a place of innocence.
Dell for sure does. But like, and then like it crescendos at the car fire for me. It just is so goddamn funny.
Oh.
And he puts the card back in his wallet, which is in the glove. I mean, just the whole thing. And then when like he finally makes it home, and you're supposed to feel relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he does it, but he sees back, and then you realize this whole time there was this thing unsaid. And this is why I think the movie is so great.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that's unsaid is that Dell's wife died 8 years ago, and he's on his own.
Yeah.
Like, he's not homeless in like lives in a tent city kind of way. Like, he's got a job, he travels for work, he lives in hotels. But he has no anchor. He has no home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking. And then you get that whole rush of family stuff.
Yeah.
Where like, he goes and gets him and brings him home, and like this is you don't know you're watching the ideal Thanksgiving movie until the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, I didn't know they were doing that to me, God damn it, this whole time when I was laughing at the speedometer being melted.
Oh, I had a feeling something was coming.
Yeah, you said. So how did you know this? What tipped you off?
Oh gosh. I can't remember the exact moment, but I'm going to say maybe about halfway through, I went,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, she's dead.
Okay.
This wife is gone." And then the more I thought about just his mannerisms, characteristic traits and everything, I thought, "Oh, he's living on the road." Like,
Yeah.
he's not homeless in the sense we all think about when we say homeless, but he doesn't have a home. He doesn't have, like you said, an anchor. So he's used to just living out of this trunk, throwing things and making the space feel like a home momentarily.
Yeah.
Like, he's very good at getting comfortable in whatever space is going
Yes,
to
he
be his home
is.
for the night. But yeah, that was so rough. I was like,
Yeah.
no, she's dead.
Yeah. So here's what I'm wondering as I'm watching the movie last night, because I've seen this movie a dozen times, probably more. It's like I'm thinking about Neil being our POV character, right?
Okay.
Like, we see all of this from his point of view. Like, we want to see Neil get home to his family, and and we're shown Neil blowing up, and even though he's justifiably like upset, like but like feeling like an ass,
Hmm.
and like Neil's not like a great guy, but
He's
like
clearly bogged down by work
he's
and
yeah,
like not, I don't want to say prioritizing the wrong things, but you can tell that he's feeling like, okay, I need to take a step back from work, and maybe some of his regret is developing into insecurities and he's taking it out on the wrong people. Like that
mhm,
monologue when he first goes off on Dell is, I would say that one hurts more than him going off on the rental car lady. Like, that's not nice either, but at least that's framed in a funnier way. Whereas you're
right,
seeing Dell fight back tears like a
yeah,
kid with a bully, and it's rough. So, yeah, you don't really like Neil in that moment.
yeah. You don't, and but like you also get it.
Hmm.
Like not only did all of this stuff happen, that like Dell hasn't really been super helpful. Like, and you're still paying for everything, and he used all of the towels, and he busted a 6 pack of beer on your side of the bed, and you have to sleep in it, and he's clearing his throat, and he's just, I mean, all of this was after, but like there's so much of like I I want to kill you too because I'm in Neil's shoes. Like
Yeah.
no one thinks they're Dell, even if they are. Like
Oh,
like
of
no one
course.
thinks they're the worst person to travel with. Um, but like we've all been subjected to the worst person to travel with in some capacity. You know, you've been next to someone who's just awful. You know, takes their shoes off or leans into you, or I mean, it's just you know, other people are other people, man. It ain't good sometimes. Um, so you feel all of that, but I don't know. Like, what I was wondering is, does the movie think Neil is right when he blows up at Dell, or does the movie think he's wrong?
Oh, I think the
Is he
movie.
the movie thinks he's wrong, but the movie wants you to understand it,
Which I think is
right?
why it's framed in such a way that your focus is only to be on them. There's no music. It's not funny. It's, I mean, it's at night, so like the space is kind of dark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you get where he's coming from, but it's a very quiet scene.
Yeah, yeah, but his rage is loud. Like
Yeah.
it's weird. It's loud, but it's contained in the box of the frame. You know, like the camera doesn't move. Steve Martin doesn't go anywhere.
Hmm.
He is standing here, like being very physical, but being very physical in a confined space. And it it's almost like that box funnels his anger at this tiny little target. Even though John Candy is huge, in that scene, him being in that box makes him look very small.
Hmm.
And it hurts.
It
So you're
does.
like, oh God, I feel I feel bad for both of them now. I didn't want to feel bad for both of them. I just wanted to be irritated at this guy because he's irritating.
Hmm.
Um, but like I don't think that I think the movie thinks Neil is who you said he was. Someone bogged down,
Mm.
you know? Someone like they don't think he's wrong. They think he's exhausted,
Yeah.
you know? And here's where I think the interesting back and forth between the two of them is that on the surface, Neil has the things, right? He's got a good job, he's got a wife and 3 kids at home who he can't wait to get back to, and they can't wait to see him. Um, you'd think he would having the things, and he's still miserable. Like he's still so tense. And Dell, who we find out at the end of the movie, doesn't have any of the things,
Yeah.
is much freer. He's much happier, at least on the surface. He's much more comfortable making the world fit him.
Hmm.
You know, the way you were saying, like, oh, he makes this space feel like he can get comfortable in it automatically.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Well,
the balance of those two, I think, is really great.
it is. And I don't know, I think I was talking about this earlier for a different reason, but I do I like and I dislike stories that want to point out you can have all the things and still be miserable, because
Sure.
I'm very much in the mindset, and I have been for a while, that like, cool, why don't you give me rich people problems so I can find that out for myself?
Sure.
Because, you know, no, listen, I know what I've got and I'm grateful for it. I'm also still wanting more, as any human would, you know? Like, and so there's, you have these two people, and there's something to be learned from both of them, to
Mhm.
be sure. Like, Neil could probably gain more from Dell, but Dell is going to get something from Neil that he hasn't been able to get from anyone else in a long time, which is genuine friendship.
Yeah, connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's Dell needed a family,
Mhm.
you know, and that's what Neil provides. And Neil provided, and also like provided him a whole lot of like travel expenses. Um, like he gave him that. Um, but he gives this perspective to Neil that Neil needs to have. And so like I think that what the movie is telling us is that they need each other. You
Mhm.
know, like these two people had like how like in those Bugs Bunny cartoons where like the fat guy with the big belly dances with the lady with the big boobs, and they
Yes.
like get like that's these guys are those kind of puzzle pieces to each other. You know, they neither one of them knows that they need what the other person is bringing,
Mhm.
but at the end of it, you're like, oh, that like when they walk in together, that feels good. It feels balanced and calm
Yes.
in a way that literally no other second in this movie feels.
I realized that when Neil was going through everything with the missing car, and then trying to, the odyssey he went through to get back
Yeah.
to the rental car place. I went, oh, it's more stressful now because Dell's not here.
Right. And Dell has like tips, you know?
Yep.
Like Dell's like, I know this guy. I sold shower curtains over there. Like Dell is a people person and a half. And Neil is not. Neil is a like these are the rules person.
Yeah.
Um, but like he needs what Dell brings. Like in such a big way.
Oh, yeah.
Although I don't know that he would have gotten home. I don't know that Dell got him home faster. Like,
No, I don't think he did.
yeah, I feel like if you just would have stayed in Chicago, or they were already in Chicago, where were they?
Wichita.
Wichita. I was like, it's in Kansas somewhere. He should have just stayed in Wichita. Like, waited for the next flight from Wichita to Chicago. You've been home that night.
Yep.
You try. You're a try hard, Neil. It's no good.
It's that thing where you feel like you have to keep, if you just keep moving, you'll feel like, I hate so much when people get right up on me, either with their bodies or their cars, because
Mhm.
they're anxiously trying to get somewhere. And I want to go, you're not getting there any faster right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I also understand that urgency of, if I just keep moving, I will be able to remain calm.
Yeah, it's that get off the highway and like take the side roads around the exit or on the blockage, whatever. Even though you're going down side streets and stop signs and like you're moving a little, so you feel better.
Uh huh.
It may end up taking you longer, but it feels better.
It does.
So, and this movie isn't funny if they just stay in Wichita.
That's true. It's not.
Although I don't know, I've never been to Wichita. Shouts to Wichita.
Successfully avoided driving through Kansas on all of my cross country moves.
Yeah,
No disrespect to Kansas. I just don't think there's going to be much to see. I love a field. I don't want to drive through 5 hours of it.
yeah, I agree. I don't want to drive through 5 hours. I don't want to be in a state that I can't get out of. in 5 hours. Like that's, you know, like that's
That's fair.
yeah, that's why like Georgia is tough. Like if you're going south, you're like, oh,
Oh,
it's gonna be that. Pennsylvania is tough if you're going east west,
oh
which
my God.
Pennsylvania is never ending.
Yeah, it really is.
This whole movie could have just been trying to get from Philly to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It could have done all this shit just trying to get there. In some ways, that's funnier. But all right, you intimated that you have some things to say about intimacy.
Yeah. So this one is going to be difficult in a new way because I think the main source of the I think the main source of intimacy in this is the comedy of homophobia. It's there in
Mm-hmm.
everything from I couldn't tell you an exact year, but I would say from the early aughts
No,
back.
sure.
Like for some reason it's really funny, or they found a way to make it funny. Um, the fear men have of each other, which to them I want to ask. So then you agree it should be bear, not man. You're
I
afraid
don't
of
think
me.
anyone who made this movie knew that was a choice that anyone would be asked to make.
I'm sure they weren't. Just leaving that there for
No.
food for thought. But
Yeah.
you have you I wrote down shower scene, and I guess I'm thinking of no, that's not the sorry. That was one of the little things. I write notes in a weird way.
Mm.
Comedy of homophobia. A
Mm-hmm.
key moment of this, I would say the main moment, is the more the morning after.
Yeah, the those aren't pillows. Yeah.
He's snuggled up, and Neil is snuggled against Dell. They're both clearly. Oh my god! It was. If you know what, if they could have, if you could take the whole homophobic nature after, like, the reaction after that, and you could play it as just, oh, I don't know you and I don't want to be curled up against you like that, because it's not as if they said, like, oh, they didn't play it up in a very weird, uh rude way.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the kiss and the snuggle are adorable and they're funny, and
Mm-hmm.
you can tell that there is a bond between these two. So keeps I think that's what keeps it from looking super homophobic. But again, like
Right.
that is the basis of that comedic moment, is like, oh no, guys are afraid of other guys turning them gay. Oh no.
Yeah. It's weird. Like you're right. That's that's the kernel at the heart of that thing, but it's really only at the edges of
Yes.
what's funny about it, because the joke really isn't like, oh, gay, gay, gay.
Yeah.
Like that's a little bit of it with the kiss on the ear, but it's mostly like they wake up snuggling each other and they hate each other,
Yeah.
and like they're holding hand. He's holding his hand, and where's your other hand between two pillows? And like, what's funny, their reaction is that we are way too close to each other. Like that is, wow, did we cross barriers that we had not intended to cross? Neither one of them felt comfortable in this moment, and so, but it also it comes out in like the, oh, see that Bears game? Oh, hell of a team, hell of a team. Like,
Yeah. And
really performative masculinity. But it's so fucking funny.
it is really funny. I think the only thing that could have made it better, honestly, is, say in a modern context, then you do have the whole, like, what, are you freaking out because you think you're gay now? It's like, no, I don't think that. Like, no, why are you
Right.
to my mouth? I don't know. You're
Yeah.
acting all home. Like, there's a comedy there. Throwing it
Mhm.
back at people, that would be great.
Yeah, but I think this is better than that. I think that is a hat on a hat. Like I think it
Fair.
explains it too much, and then you're just like sort of, unless the point is to live in it to the point that it becomes massively uncomfortable, and then you find more comedy, I'm all for that. I think that's good. Um,
I think that's how I really mean it. I make it like the basest of explanations, but
sure.
to again kind of explain where it could go. But yes, there is a more subtle way to do that, to add that in without being quite the hat on a hat. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, I thought that was it was funny. It was interesting. It's it's not like it didn't age well. Like that is still very much a thing that
sure.
dudes would probably feel. There'd probably be some women even like some weirdness, but of course it's I don't know. They don't have women play homophobic to each other as much
Right.
because it's okay if we're gay.
Mhm.
Um, so enough about that. It's there. You all know what it is.
Mhm.
Um, some other areas that I noted, we have, I'm going to say spatial awareness or lack thereof on a plane because people were squished. And I mean, the pandemic ruined me for being in close proximity to people. And
Sure.
yes, I get the irony of me being in New York.
Mhm.
Feet. Oh my God.
Mm.
It is so,
Like a Tarantino movie.
you know, the feet phobia in this and in life, it's not the same and it's not worse, but it's certainly on a level close close to homophobia. People get
Sure.
so weirded out by feet,
My feet.
and I don't get it. Maybe it's because I grew up a dancer, and so like you kind of need to be okay with feet.
Right.
Uh, it's not like you're walking around barefoot everywhere. You're wearing
Right.
socks, you're wearing shoes. Yes, they smell. Have you smelled the rest of your body? I'm pretty sure your feet aren't the worst smelling thing. Um, I don't know. Stop feet shaming people. Um,
Eat it.
try something new. Um,
Yeah.
you have there's a cock punch. There's a dick punch,
Oh, that's right.
which
Oh no, he hits him in the belly
got hit in the dick. Am I
when Neil hits Dell.
no? When Neil
Oh,
gets punched and then
oh, oh! He gets grabbed and lifted up by his dick. Like,
okay.
never seen a man lifted up by his testicles before.
Listen, it was so weirdly shot. No offense, John Hughes, but it was hard to tell what they did.
Gotcha.
However, that is a good tricky way to leave the mystery of what happened, but it looks like someone got grabbed by their cock and balls.
Oh, he
Um,
grabbed him by his balls and picked him up.
oh my god.
That's why his voice is like this in the next scene, like 10 minutes later.
Well, I knew something happened.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I get the joke, but
Right.
because
Right.
how it was shot and because they don't have ICs back then, or they don't
Right.
want to,
Right.
obviously you're not going to actually grab someone by the balls and lift them. At least I hope not. There are some stupid people out there, as we all know now, but uh, yeah,
Yeah, is there a load-bearing merkin that someone could wear, or you could like
maybe.
grab? The merkin is like the bush. What's like the fake cock called?
Oh, I mean, a phallus,
That's what a real cock is called.
dildo.
No, like the ones that they put on in movies. Like if a male actor wants to do full frontal, but he has to wear a fake schlong.
I've called them. I'm gonna look up the proper term, but I'm pretty sure, like, I've called them phalli or
Sure.
dildo.
I mean, right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that it's the latter because that's tend to be used for pleasure. Um, but like if you could
Um,
make one that you could grab on and pick somebody up by it, that'd be something.
oh, prosthetic. Duh.
Well, sure it's a prosthetic, but yeah, I think there's a specific term for the cock and bulls. But
I
whatever, we're
swear I've
spending
given
a
you
lot
all
of
the
time.
terminology I know, but I guess if we have some ICs listening and they know, like, one, hi, cool, welcome. But I'm pretty sure we've one. You can tell I haven't actually had to buy any for
Mhm.
a gig yet, thankfully. Um, yeah, the most I've ever had to buy are like barriers and tape.
Mm.
For covering stuff on women.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and obviously not going to use a real thing when it's in use. I think we talked about that on another show. Oh, Hateful Eight is when we talked about using a
Oh,
prosthetic
the
versus
dingus.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I feel like if he's wearing pants and being grabbed, you're still not going to wear a prosthetic. Like you're going to grab like material
Yeah,
under or probably like on the inner thigh.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
when wrestlers do that, like a lift like that, it's against the thigh. Except for sometimes the Ultimate Warrior, when he pressed you above his head, would grab people's balls. It did not make him popular.
I'm sure it wouldn't.
Yeah, the boys didn't like taking the Warrior Slam. Um,
Oh my god. Why weren't they wearing guards?
well, he's not supposed to do that. Like
Okay, well
that's
if you
not what you're supposed to do.
that's
He
what
just did it. He did it wrong all the time. Is what it was. He was careless and did it wrong. Like that's it made him a bad partner in the ring, from what I understand.
yeah, I should say so. Gosh, I'm sorry, wrestlers. That's terrible.
I know it was rough to go toe to toe with the Warrior, um, ever apparently for his entire career. Any other intimacies?
Oh, there were those extras clearly hired for PDA, so I feel I wonder I wonder what that audition was like because I have a feeling they probably asked them to do things that I'm not saying you can't ask people to do anymore, although there are definitely rules about like what you can ask an actor to do or not. And making out with a stranger is definitely on the list now. Like,
Yeah, the weird thing is like that's the whole part. So how do you audition to see if someone's right for the part if you don't see the only thing that they have to do in that part?
well, I'm glad you
You know what I
asked.
mean? Yeah,
It's
I'm curious. How would you get that?
um so if you have extras, although these would be featured, this would be like a featured cameo or just a cameo appearance, something. I mean, you would put in the audition notice, we, you know, need male, female, in this case, you're going to be making out with someone for a few minutes, like you're,
Right.
and I mean, I don't think you need to audition that. You just need to, if anything, if you want to audition people in the room, you can watch how they interact with each other, have them dance, you know.
Mm,
I would also give them the challenge of like, uh, you all can do, you all can't kiss, but you have to be intimate somehow. So, like, they could like hold hands. They could kind of do like a Romeo and Juliet palm to palm kind of thing. Um, maybe they hug each other, maybe they embrace.
mhm,
But yeah, they don't need to be kissing. They just need to be, consenting adults, and there needs to be someone who's going to choreograph it or discuss with them, like,
mhm.
what are their boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never really thought about it, but like it would seem to me, not knowing anything at all, that like I feel like you'd have to see how they interact with each other in like because that's not just like two people making out. It's
Hmm.
two people like aggressively making out in public for comedic effect. Like that's a very specific kind of um thing you want people to do. And it's not the same as show me that you're intimate with one another and that you know each other. Or show me that you're that like there's an attraction between the two of you because that's not the same thing. It's like it's something so broad
Uh-huh.
that like I don't know how you simulate it in an audition well enough to know that you're going to be able to because you don't what you don't want is to get there on the day and go, oh, these two people are terrible at this. You know,
So
how do you avoid that?
here's okay, I have a couple other ideas. I feel like you could give them a scenario where, okay, you all are a young couple and you don't give a shit about other people's comfort on this bus.
Mhm.
How do you behave with each other? How do you take up space, you know?
Mhm. Okay.
And you could, again, I wouldn't have kissing in the audition. I would just say, okay, I would like to see you all embrace. Um, and, you know, maybe you're running your hands up and down each other in these, you know, again, like decide between each other how you feel comfortable about it. But just like, I want you all, I want you two to hug. And I want you two to hug like there's no tomorrow. You're taking up space. You're moving around. You're hugging in all kinds of ways. I mean, it's a great way to test people's creativity and improv
Right.
without still actually doing it. And I'm sure some people are rolling their eyes, but again, like it can go south so quickly. And it can go south
Uh-huh.
with telling them to hug and embrace and do things. But that's why, again, you set these parameters, you discuss it in the audition, you discuss it with them there, like before the audition and at the audition. But I definitely think there's a way to still figure out like how they behave with each other and how it will look and see what their comedy is like. You know, have them dance. Have them
Yeah.
like you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting on a bus, you're listening to music, you're kids, you don't give a shit about other people's boundaries. Uh now dance where you are without leaving your chair.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I'm doing is trying to imagine knowing that they were going to be able to pull it off. And what you just described, I think you get it. I think you get that.
I think so too. And I appreciate the challenge of coming up with another way to do these things because if I
Yeah.
can't come up with it, then how am I going to convince people that this is what they need?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And who knows how they auditioned it. But just from dumb me sitting over here, 30 years in the future, I'm like, well, I never thought, I bet you they made those two make out in front of people. Cuz I don't know that they did. It never occurred to me. But it also never occurred to me how they would have done it.
Yeah.
How do you figure that out? That's interesting.
And like, you know, ideal situation, perfect world, you could just be professionals,
Right.
do the thing and nothing more. But
Mhm.
that's not always the case. So,
Yeah. Truth.
yep.
Anything else?
No, we got it.
All right. So, let's stay on that bus and just keep riding to Needle Drop Forest. Um, so the thing I want to talk about for the music in this is the three coins in a fountain, each one seeking happiness. Come on, you know this. Thrown by three hopeful
Flintstones.
lovers. So, has there ever been a pair of song choices that better establish who these characters are than this scene in this movie? Like, Neil is so out of touch with the people around him. And he has this idea of what is like socially acceptable and popular. And um, he's very baffled when no one on the bus knows this song.
Yeah.
But Dell is a man of the people. Dell understands that everyone loves the Flintstones theme song. Or he could have done Gilligan's Island. There's a number of like TV theme songs from the 60s or whatever that you could have done that everybody on the bus sings along with. But it's these two song choices are so good for telling who the character is. And
Mhm.
it's not like, Vader's theme that's played when he walks in the room, you know. It's a song that the character likes and chooses to sing publicly. It's almost like if there was a whole scene where people sang karaoke and each song they chose showed you who they were.
Yeah.
A little bit shouts to Angel. If and when we get to Angel,
Okay.
shouts to Lauren. There's a demon in Angel who runs a karaoke bar, and he reads people's auras when they sing.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
I was
Leslie's now
thinking
more interested in watching Angel, guys.
I'm intrigued. No, I was thinking about Jim and all of his keyboard playing and his love for the karaoke and how he's there every night because he's a karaoke addict. I get it.
Jim. Yeah, Jim has a problem. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
Got a point.
You got to point a lot.
And throw back your tie.
Two people in unison throwing back their tie. Intimacy.
It's beautiful. I don't think I
It
could have.
is.
I mean, I could have. What am I saying?
It's
I was about to have a.
fucking wooden.
I could have choreographed it. Listen. I
Yeah,
can.
you could have.
I'm good.
No, that's a mess. It's so wooden the way they move. But I mean, that's also. I'm not sure Dean Cain's a dancer, you guys. I don't know. I don't want to say, but I don't want to say. All right. What else time? What else you got?
I was baffled at how much cash they each had on them, and then
Oh my god.
I mean, one, it's a lot. I'm pretty sure it's a lot even for. I know this isn't pre-credit card, but it's early days of credit card. So I get why they have cash on them. That seems like it's way too much.
I agree. Yeah. I wouldn't have walked around with, because it's not like they're on vacation. I mean, but so they didn't have traveler's checks. Like Neil was just on a quick business trip. Like I don't know why he had more than $40 on it. You know, like what do you need a whole shit ton of money for?
You work in New York. Why do you have that much cash on you?
Well, yeah, there's that. And yeah, I don't know. I think they should have had more credit cards, to be honest with you. It would have been a safer way to travel unless you burn your, although they did get robbed in the middle of the night by like a dude with a switchblade.
Oh my god.
Did you think he was going to kill them?
No.
Good.
He definitely did. He was just like, this is random, but
Pretty weird.
It's another step in the everything needs to go wrong.
Yeah. It just makes things worse. But yeah, that's a big knife.
I hate how movies like this make me grateful a bit for the fact that we use credit cards more, or you can pay over your phone. Hell, the fact that we have cell phones, because whenever he couldn't reach his wife, I was like, yeah, I would be frantic not knowing like where he is and when you're going to arrive.
And like this movie, this movie suffers from the Sonny Corleone problem.
Oh,
yeah. Remember, like a long time ago when we talked about how like if Sonny had an easy pass, he wouldn't have been murdered in The Godfather.
Oh, I forgot, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, like if there were cell phones, none of this shit happens this way. Like Neil could always get an Uber from Wichita to Chicago. It would cost a lot of fucking money, but you could do it if you wanted to. Like, so many of the obstacles are like, oh, we have passed the point where this isn't worth a $600 Uber to me or whatever.
Oh man, they need to come up with a game show where they put you through all these scenarios and you have to get through them using the technology of that time.
Right. Yeah. Or just something now, but you don't have it. You can't. You just have to solve that old problem in the old way.
Well, yeah,
and
that's what I
people
mean.
my age are going to do better.
Yeah, they will. There was an episode of Doctor Who recently where these people live in a bubble and they can't move without the bubble telling them where to go.
Oh,
And
weird.
it freaked me out so much. And I thought, oh no, it's me with Google Maps because
Sure.
I'm sure if I really forced myself to learn how to fucking navigate a grid, I could do it.
I recommend it.
It's on the list.
It was funny. I'm sitting in a basically empty bar a couple weeks ago while Liam had a volleyball practice. And and like it was a Thursday night at like 8:00, which is not like big bar crowd time apparently at this bar that was in Wrigleyville, north of like where all of the Wrigleyville stuff is, but not by much. It still catches all that traffic. So I was just sitting there, and I ended up talking to the bartender, who was like a woman in her 20s, and like I ended up explaining who Flavor Flav was.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was the Anthrax Public Enemy Bring the Noise was on, and I caught myself singing to it because I can't not Public Enemy.
Sure.
And she was like, and it was a video. I didn't know it was a video. And she motioned to it and pointed out, said something about the song, the video, or whatever. And then I said something about Flavor Flav, who's in it, and there was a look of not recognition. And I'm like, oh, this is someone who does not know who Flavor Flav is. Let me tell you who Flavor Flav is, because he's awesome. He's nuts, but whatever. And then I was like, and then we were talking about living in Chicago and like, basically the grid thing, like, knowing where and I realized that like what I'm saying to you and to her and to Liam when I was telling him kind of the same thing the other day is very helpful stuff. Like it's stuff that it's good to know. Like if you live in a city, knowing how the grid is laid out and knowing like the 100 blocks that like I know Belmont is 3200 north and Addison is 3600 and Irving Park is 4000. Like when you know those things, it makes it easy to navigate in a city like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's also the daddest shit I could do in public.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Like, and this, I'm cursed with self-awareness because in the moment I know like that I am like peak Gaffigan. You know what I mean? Like I'm just out there dadding in the world to people who aren't necessarily looking. But like we were the only two people there, and we were talking about something. So this is what we were talking about. I don't know. So I'm ridiculous. It's sort of the moral.
We all have our parts to play. Some are worse than others. Yours is at least endearing to most people. I don't know.
Crazy old fuck trying to tell me what directions.
I don't know what mine is anymore. Angry feminist who's going to tell you something or throw down the, sexism card, like, and then say sorry, not sorry.
We all gotta have our thing, and apparently mine is here's some shit you didn't want to know, but I'm gonna tell it to you because it's interesting to me.
Mom things I could throw out there too, but again, because I don't have a kid, like it's just gonna go unheeded.
Well, I have a kid. It's gonna go unheeded. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
There's no heed. Yeah,
No
heed. All right. Is this anyone's defining role?
Maybe John Candy?
Yeah, I like it's to me his best role.
Okay.
I don't like because like Uncle Buck is named after his character. Like that might be the thing that people are like it's a little more branded to him.
Sure.
But to me it's this. I mean, this is I don't know anyone else who could have pulled this role off.
Yeah.
Like he is simultaneously hilarious, irritating, and sympathetic. And that is, I don't know how you walk that. Like that is a balance. And hysterical while doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's you'd know better than we would, sir, as I say, our speedometer's melted.
Okay, I'm about to ask something that could make people upset, but I don't know his comedy that well.
Uh-huh.
I don't know Chris Farley's comedy that well.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like one was hired to not replace the other, but to be like another version of one.
Mm.
Is that not correct?
It's correct adjacent.
Okay.
Like they definitely both fill the big hilarious guy slot.
But Chris does more physical stuff, correct?
Farley was more inspired by Belushi than he was by John Candy. but both of them played this lovable oaf.
Yeah.
You know, like this guy who takes up a shit ton of space and is very like in control of their body. Like
Yeah.
Farley was amazing, and John Candy's very funny in this physically. You know, with just all of the neck and I mean all of it. He's so good. So I think there's definitely a John Candy is gone now, and these types of parts could go to Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's real, but Farley was younger. Like so at that point, it's like there's some of this physical shit that you're not going to still try to do. You know, like you might have tried that 10 years ago, but this is dangerous. Farley didn't give a shit. But I agree. Like they do fit that big guy, big personality.
Okay.
Want to take care of them a little bit.
Yeah.
Guy, you know.
Okay.
So
great. I was right in my assessment, but I wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he's just kind of magic in this. Like, I don't think. Again, as I said, I think that Father of the Bride is Steve Martin's best work. Not his funniest movie. This movie is so much funnier than Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
And this still isn't even his funniest movie, but his performance in this is great. Like
it's
he is
really
so, good. Like he is wound up.
The like, way I've been enjoying so much more, like just again from watching Only Murders, like seeing him keep up like physical comedy traits that are specific to him, like the, you know, like elongating the words and enunciating from anger.
Right.
And, you know, that's one thing. And just when he's throwing his tantrum in the parking lot, like, you know, it's not that like I'm gonna stomp around and stuff. He's arms elongating, like he very much using his height and long limbed nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that.
Yeah, he's always been great at that. The he would the King Tut dance. You know, when he had the King Tut song, that is he does a lot of this kind of movement. The Wild and Crazy Guys stuff is very big. You know. Yeah, from his early comedy, he's done that kind of stuff. And the beginning of The Jerk, which I don't believe you've seen.
I've seen parts. Okay. I've not seen all of it.
The beginning of The Jerk is I was born a poor black child. And like so he's dancing, he's trying to keep rhythm in the funniest way you've ever. He's like yeah. Like it is his ability to control his limbs that way is, I mean, he's so funny physically.
Yes.
And yeah, when he loses his mind in angles. Like he's really a very angular person.
Squeezes his shoulders up and like it's like a monster being born.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a monster made out of. Yeah, it's crazy. I love Steve Martin. Hey, what is this the EST of for you?
So you remember how Touch of Evil was the worst honeymoon?
Yes.
This is the worst holiday travel experience ever.
It's very bad. Yes, it's very, very bad. I can't think of a worse one. There's probably one where somebody died, I suppose, but
at least you die.
Yeah, it's over at some point. Jesus.
It's worse for the people trying to figure out what to do with your body, or like in Little Miss Sunshine, like, oh, we're trying to get to this competition, but now we've got to deal with dead grandpa, and you know what? We'll steal his body, we'll put it in the back of the trunk, because he's got to be there.
Right, yeah. It's a reason to do this. Yeah. I agree, this is a terrible This is a terrible attempt. It's a hard. This is worse than Kevin's mom pretending that she wanted to get home in time to see him.
Yep.
You know. So she just had to meet John Candy. When she met John Candy, he was way more helpful to her than he was to Steve Martin. Like he just got her in the back of the thing with the polka band, and they just got there.
I love him in that.
I do too. It's kind of the same guy, as Walter pointed out, but I don't know that Del plays the polka. Polka.
Polka.
I think this is the funniest holiday movie.
Oh yeah,
Like,
probably.
the only reason I pause is because Elf exists. And Elf is really funny.
Oh, it is, but it reaches. Okay, here's the point where I struggle with Elf, because it does reach a point where it becomes more about the heart, and then the jokes kind of fall away. I feel like a lot of modern comedies struggle with this. Like, how do we keep the comedy going and going and going while still having, a heart in this? And like, I would say this one is very good about it's at the very end. I mean, you have moments, little moments where it like hits at it, but the jokes keep coming. So yeah, I would say this is crazy. This is funnier to me than Elf. And I like Elf.
I like Elf a lot. But I laughed so hard last night, and I've seen this movie 20 times, and I laughed so hard at everything in the car. Like that scene when they're going between the two semi trucks, and that is a brilliantly edited 30 seconds of film, because it is close-ups of the eyes and the skulls and the devil and the screaming and the flame and all of it, and then the car stops, and then he gets out of the car and he's like, "It's not that bad."
Oh, they'll pop that right out.
A lot worse. It's could have been a lot worse. And their fingers in the dashboard. Like,
yeah,
it's so tactile. It's so funny. And it just, as the tension builds for Neil, the comedy builds in the movie. And so it doesn't have that Elf problem where it's like all the jokes are in the front. The jokes get funnier in this movie as the movie goes along. And to the point where I'm in tears. How do they know where we're going? Thank you.
Yeah.
Every time. And radio still works clear as a bell.
Well, I don't know how fast we're going. The speedometer's melted.
And this is why John Candy is the perfect person for this movie, because it's in the way he answers Michael McKean's question, "Do you think this car is safe to drive?" And he goes, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do, officer."
Yes.
There's this earnestness that you can't question in the most ridiculous of circumstances. Yes, I do.
We were audibly excited when we saw Michael McKean. I can't express enough how much we love him. It's all because of Mr. Green, but like we love him so fucking much.
He's great. So much.
Wait,
he's also on Voyager.
Okay, he's also on Voyager. It's mostly because he's Mr.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. Michael McKean's great.
He is.
I just in our Clue episode. But yeah, no, it's exciting. Look, that's Michael McKean. Showing up on screen. asking the important questions.
Do you think this car is safe to drive?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. God bless this movie. We did it.
We did it.
We have once again proven my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling.
Even planes, trains, and automobiles.
That's right. Even Thanksgiving. So join us next week. Please join us next week, you guys. I'm so excited. I will too. Like spoilers. But I also have some thoughts about this movie that I don't think most people think about. So I can't wait. But next week is going to be a glorious week on the Peach Pod and the Peach Pod After Dark, because we're watching season 3, episode 16. It's a Totally Happening Life on Wednesday, followed by, obviously, It's a Wonderful Life. And at this moment in time, when I'm saying this, but not at this moment in time when you're hearing it, hashtag time machine, Leslie has not seen It's a Totally Happening Life. So she doesn't know the joy and befuddlement that will occur when she sits down to watch this episode.
I'm gonna watch it probably soon after this because again, it's been a rough day. I need it.
Mhm.
I feel better from this, but I need some 90210.
You do. It's I'm very excited for the 1-2 punch of next week.
For my text messages.
Your text messages, just for the chance to discuss It's a Totally Happening Life, but also equally the chance to watch It's a Wonderful Life and talk about it, because I love that movie so much. And it's fucking hilarious. Like, It's a Wonderful Life has jokes, you guys. The movie is funny.
You busy boy. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Yeah, I love you till the day I die. No, that's the sweetest fucking thing ever. Don't hit my bad ear. The saddest thing ever. It's a Wonderful Life is fantastic. I think it's sad in the medicine, Mr. Gower. I know you did. You didn't mean it. I know. Oh, God. Yep. All right. Didn't mean giving out wings.
Out you two pixies go.
Through the door or out the window. We serve hard drinks in here for men who want to get drunk. Yep. It's going to be a great week.
It is.
All right. Till then, Cheesemeisters.
Cheers.
Cheers.